All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Estate Plate. We're a couple minutes earlier than normal because we're doing something a little different. We're not going to be broadcasting from the WGBB studios the way we normally do. Today was a day that I had an opening where I needed to take some time for other business purposes. And if you're listening to the radio, you're probably hearing a replay at this time of a previous show. But what I'll be doing today is going to be a little different. I'm going to take a little bit of advantage of the fact that I am not tied down by the radio waves and not in a position where I can't split the audience because when I'm doing it on the radio or we're on AM FM, obviously people could only hear me. They can't necessarily uh, you know uh, uh, see everything that we're doing, and it's also very tough to be able to um, actually be able to give a visual and get interaction from other people that we have as guests. So I figured that I think the best thing to do today is actually open up the platforms and try to do something a little experimental that we haven't done before. And that's basically opening up a Zoom Live type of a feed, which working off of right now. And it should be interesting right now of how we're going to go about doing this because I've never done this before. As we're speaking, you see my attention's a little bit um, not directly into the camera because I'm trying to actually send out the links to all the possible groups and chat places where people can actually grab the link and come into the room. Let's see how this is going to work. This either is going to be something that's really good or really a colossal failure, or it's going to be blah. I'd rather it be good or horrible rather it be blah, because then I don't know how to be able to work in the future about it. So let's see where this is going to go. I'm right now as we speak, I'm going one by one to all the chat rooms and sending out the link. Let's see how many people are on board right now, how many people are listening. um, should be really interesting as far as how to go about doing this right now. It's a pretty cool type of thought. I don't know if it's going to be I don't know if it's going to work, like I said, but let's see. I'm always willing to experiment. I'm always looking to push the envelope and possibly you know change things up in a way where it's going to give everybody a great opportunity to be interactive with the show. And that's what the show is really all about. I really want everybody to be as interactive with it as possible. I really would like for people to be able to experience the show and be able to voice their opinions in the best possible way. I know that a lot of people have a hard time doing that. And I'm not putting any pressure on anybody to actually take me up on the Zoom link and actually come in. But if they do, I think they'll finally have the platform that they've been looking for to be able to participate. Again, you're going to have to bear with me for the next few minutes as I'm setting up. This is something that's a lot different actually than what we're usually doing. You could see the lighting is definitely not the same kind of lighting that we usually have. I have a way different type of setup over here. Not as much backlight as there normally is in the studio, and like I said, I'm doing this from a remote location, and like I said, it's something different. I kind of like this whole concept. I hope everybody here likes it as well. There's been so much that's been going on right now. So much that's been going on right now, as far as real estate's concerned. As far as um, forget about what's going on with the moratorium. We're having a nightmare of a situation altogether here in New York. They're just making us twist in the um, turn, twist and turn in anguish of trying to find some kind of resolution. I'll get into all that during the show. Hopefully, we get some landlords, maybe even some tenants to jump in on the chat. Like I said, I'm opening this up to everybody, and I don't want anybody to feel excluded. Now, as we speak, I'm actually putting in the link to the show in the chat, if it'll allow me to put it in there. Let's see. All right, so let's see how this is going to go. Like I said, either it's going to be a colossal failure, or it will be a great success, or it'll be a big fat dud. And I don't want the big fat dud to come across. So let's see how this goes. I'm going through all the groups. By the way, as I'm going through the groups, I'm going to read off some of the groups that are really great to participate with, and especially if you're a landlord. You really want to focus on these and um, and really uh, get interactive with them. They're very valuable resource, and at the same time, a very responsive community that really is embracing of each other, understanding of each other, um, trying to help each other in the best possible ways. It's one of these situations where um, sometimes you need to know that there's other people out there that are just like and you really need that. You really do. It's tough. It's tough to be able to get through these kind of things, and that's one of the reasons why we've done a lot of these landlord roundtables. We sit down, think through the whole process, and try to brainstorm to find resolutions, that kind of thing. But another side effect that it has is the fact that we are giving everybody the opportunity to vent, to be able to voice their opinion without criticism, without any kind of bias, and be able to know that they have somebody they could speak to and feel like they're part of something. There's other people that are willing to embrace them. And I'll say something else. I've had a lot of people that have participated that are not landlords, they are tenants that are understanding of this whole process. Don't believe me. There's people out there that are really they're really in a bad situation, and it's beyond being a landlord and a tenant and taking your sides and that kind of a scenario. It's about being a human being more than anything else. You really need to have that human element, and that's what has been missing from the whole eviction moratorium experiment, so to speak. It's been kind of awful, to be quite honest with you. And we just got another extension, as everybody knows. And if you're not a supporter of the Landlord Advocates on YouTube, Matthew Lyman, you can find him on Facebook as well. Uh, you should, because he's been really a big talker and advocate of everything landlord and supporting the right causes. And he's been very vocal about it. Put together some great videos. The last one he did, I believe, yesterday, is another one chock full of information. You should definitely um, look into it, because you really need that. You really need people like him that will be out there opening. It's not just me talking. My voice is only heard by whoever's listening to me at the moment and whoever replays later on. But we need more voices like mine, like Matthew, uh, Rich Tyson, all the guys over at the New York Landlords Group, Roseanne, who everybody knows, Clarence Hammer, a lot of the people, a lot of the people that are really super needed to help the rest of the group. I'm not sure if people are starting to attend yet. I'm going to check right now, and we will find out soon enough. All right. So I don't think enough people have actually seen the post, because this is like I said, this is experimental. I'm not even sure if anybody's going to even realize it's happening, because it's impromptu and it's last second, and it's different. And different doesn't always mean better. It could mean worse. I'm also going to take a second to tell everybody again about the fundraising that we've been participating in. If you haven't listened to one of the previous shows, I've been dedicated and joined the team to fundraise for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And we're doing a fundraiser from the past couple of weeks all the way until June 10th. And we're doing everything we can to um, raise awareness about this horrible disease, and at the same time um, try to add as much funding as possible to um, combat this cancer and help the families involved, and honor a little boy and little girl that have really gone through a lot. Um, I'm putting the link right now in there. Um, I'm hoping that people, really do get involved, because it's really needed. And like I said, anybody that actually does a super chat or anything to that effect um, on any of these videos that are attributed to this, I will just take whatever proceeds are, and right away, um, it just put it back into the fundraising. I'm not, no, everybody knows that I never ask for any kind of funding through the channel. Everything is self-funded. We don't ever ask anybody to keep the show going, although it is helpful to get people to fund the place. But I don't want people to feel that there's any bias in our personal agenda or any monetary kind of gain. Everybody knows that our YouTube channel is monetized. Occasionally, you may run across a little ad or something like that, but that's the price of being free. Not that I'm making any money from it anyway. It's like minuscule cents that we're making out of this, but um, and whatever those pennies that we do make from each video, like I said, all these videos that I've been advocating for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to um, uh, collect some funds for them, we will be directly funding that right to the page. And I know I'm talking a little slow right now. I'm talking a little bit methodical. That's only because I am literally trying to do a million things right now as we speak. And that's no different than what my normal life is like, because the life of a real estate professional is to multitask. So I'm multitasking right now, and we're doing a lot right now as far as trying to get everything in there. Like I said, we started a little earlier today. I hope everybody got to hear the interesting stream that we did last Thursday. This wasn't from my sites. This was actually from my real recruit sites. Um, we had a little bit of a different take on a conversation by doing a comparison of how landlord tenant laws, housing laws, um, are somewhat different and some are the same between US and Canada. And obviously, I have my New York bias that I'm dealing with as well. That we are, putting, you know, what a biased, you know, but we are, we had a lot of things that were very similar to how everything is being conducted against us. But at the same time, I also noticed that there were a lot of things out there that were very different and very um, I guess I jumped to conclusions, and I expected it to be a little bit more civil and a little bit better as far as how they handle their laws. Um, but that's not necessarily true. They got their harsh mandates there too. They're a little more lax in certain spots, and you should definitely listen to the stream. And I do have it on my page as far as the stream is concerned, and you should definitely take a good look at it and listen to it. You know, you don't have to look at it, but you should listen to it um, and hear what other places have to say, because it's kind of wild. It really is. It really is kind of wild. And as always, I'm going to be checking regularly who's on the chat. Driver seat, thank you for joining us. Driver seat, if you didn't hear the beginning, this is going to be a little bit of a different type of a setup as far as how we're doing the show right now. I'm giving everybody the opportunity to be able to talk, to be able to join in with the video. And if you'd like to join in as well, I do have the link at the top of the chat. It's a Zoom link. You'll be able to join in through there if you want to voice your opinion. I know you have plenty of opinions to voice when you're on the chat box, but if you actually want people to hear your voice or even see you, um, sometimes putting that human element to gear really helps out. It really does. So you're invited. What is up? I am angry. Um, I'm frustrated, and I'm very disappointed with the way this whole eviction moratorium is panning out. I'm not happy, and I'm sure there's not a lot of other people happy as well. I know that a lot of that, a lot. I was going to catch myself in saying something derogatory, and I don't want to do that. But I know that there's a lot of tenants out there that are happy with the situation because they've been manipulating and taking advantage of the situation. And by the way, anybody that's in the waiting room on the Zoom, just stand by. I'm gonna make sure to get you guys in ASAP. I'm just giving it a few minutes to give everybody a chance to click on whoever actually takes me up on the opportunity. And let's see what we've got. Let's see if we got anybody waiting in the chat room. Participants. Okay, so it's just me still. That's okay. I'm used to talking to myself. Like I said, anybody that wants to join in from now until the end of the stream, I got the Zoom links out there. Make sure that you take me up on the opportunity, and I'll make sure to be able to get you in there as well, and you can hear your voices heard. But there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and before I dive deep into the whole landlord situation and the eviction moratorium, what's more, because I'm going to spend a good amount of time on that. And one of the differences by doing a stream like this in comparison to when I do it on a regular basis, like through the video Neo to the moon, Nick. Thank you very much, Petro. I guess you're helping everybody out with those stock tips. Um, anarchist groups want regular rent. Anarchist groups want to regulate rents to point where there's no profit. Real estate. I think I get what you're talking about, driver's seat. There are a lot of people, and you could label them any way you want. Anarchists, um, troublemakers. Some people like to call them deadbeats. And love you too, Petro. Thank you for the support. And manipulators, special interest people, call them whatever you want. But what is clear, there is an agenda. What that agenda is, I have no idea. I am not that, I don't know, am I not that intelligent, or am I not that observant to be able to understand what it is that people are doing? But there's something definitely wrong. And I mean, it is really evident that there's something really wrong with what's going on. You really don't have uh, a good understanding of what we could possibly gain by putting in these harsh mandates. What is it? What is it that people have to gain? I don't get it. And if anybody out there can understand what they could get out of this, please enlighten me, help me. Because the only thing that I see that's helping a certain group or not is the votes. And that, at the end of the day, I believe is helping only the politician, nobody else. There's not a lot out there that we will get good out of this whole situation. Driver's seat, AOC and de Blasio are part of the socialist movement. They have specific goals. That's very apparent that there are special interests that are involved. You're absolutely right on target with that, because if there was no special interest involved, then you basically would not have the scenario. Will the new cap gains tax laws affect buying in New York? Well, yes, absolutely. They will affect buying in New York, especially when it comes down to Petros. So by the way, that's comments from Petros. Cap gains tax will make a big difference to people that are looking to purchase as an investment. If there's less profit to make off of a certain type of investment, the risk considerably accelerates, then people are not really that motivated to make that kind of investment. It's very simple. My neighbor's looking to sell in Alpine, New Jersey, and move to Florida because fear of such laws coming in from Biden. There's a lot of people like that. We've been talking about the escape from New York mentality, which is really in play, and there's no mincing of words. Come on, let's be realistic. Um, this is something that's been going on and continues to go on, and we will not be having any kind of dissipation of this until we could try to stabilize the current situation in New York. And this is actually a residual effect in New Jersey as well. You're getting people leaving from New Jersey. You're getting people leaving from a lot of cities that have very similar laws. New Jersey is not as harsh at this point as it is in New York as far as um, financially and hurting people in very specific ways. But it is definitely one of these situations that um, you're not you're not in good shape there either. And that saddens me. That actually really saddens me. It really hurts me to believe that um, people are giving up on New York because everybody's listening to the show, and a lot of times I might sound very negative about New York itself. And the truth is, I'm not. I actually love New York. I grew up here. Everything that I have in my life right now was built in New York. Everything that my parents were able to build were here in New York, or through New York. And it once was very different here. And maybe I'm just being an optimist, or maybe I'm just being really, really naive. But I think I think there is some I think there is some opportunity for us to be able to change things around. Don't know how quickly that could possibly happen, and I don't know how realistic it is because people are really down on it, and it rains and pours, and people really get upset, and I don't blame them. Petros, blue states are struggling. Yes, they are, and that really has to do a lot with the politics again. And the thing is, we're getting stuck in the politics. And this is not a political show, but we can't be naive as well of not discussing this and really, looking into what the roots and where the problems are coming from. And it does stem from politics. Unfortunately, it's sad. I mean, we have politicians right now playing a game that is really hurtful to us. It really is. What the end game is, I don't know. Because the truth be said, everything that's being done right now are little temporary bandages, little temporary gauzes that they're putting onto these wounds that we have. And these are big, big gushing wounds that we are dealing with. A little band-aid is not going to be able to stop all the bleeding. A big gauze is not going to be able to stop all the bleeding. It's not. And these bandages and these gauzes that they're putting onto these wounds are not for the landlords. Because I'll tell you something. They put all this funding in place. They told everybody that we're going to be receiving some kind of relief. You know what? A lot of the tenants have been getting a lot of this relief, but I don't see a lot of it coming into the landlords. It's being held back from the landlords, and that is awful. It really is. It truly, truly is a shame of the way we are going to uh, continue. I hope that somehow, some way, um, intelligent people start to take their place where they need to, and actually do what's necessary in order to you know create a great environment back here in New York. We want to be back to being the Big Apple. We want to be back to being um, the financial capital of the world. We want to go back to being the the the, the perfect place for people to come and be able to start with zero, like literally zero, and create something out of themselves. And the environment that we are in right now, it's I'll never say impossible, but it's damn near close to possible. It really is. It's rough. This is a rough situation that we're dealing with right now, and I don't know. I really don't know what the solution is. I hope that somebody has a solution for us to be able to, if you're listening right now and you do have a solution that you think that is a viable one, please, because I brought out all different solutions as well, and obviously nobody's listening to me because I think they're pretty viable and less costly than what's going on right now. But you know, who's going to listen to a big mouth that's on the radio? Uh, New Yorkers love New York, man. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They do love New York. And I believe that there's enough of us out there that really want to help this city go back to its former glory. There aren't enough millionaires to overtax and balance the budget. Biden is pandering to his base. That's from driver's seat. Well, you're right about well, yes and no. Okay. So let's take a neutral type of thought process on this, and let's think this through. Are there enough millionaires out there in order to sustain the rest of the community, the rest of the citizens? Possibly, but you're going to be depleting almost everything that these millionaires are making, and where's their incentive to keep making that kind of money? You take it away. It's almost the Robin Hood effect. You're basically robbing the rich to steal the poor, and in a lot of these cases, these people aren't rich. Being a millionaire these days is not what it used to be. And I know that some people that are working on salary and they're making $30,000 a year are listening to me and saying you're out of your mind. But the truth be said, it's not what it used to be today. And especially in cities like New York City, if you're not making $100,000, $150,000 at the very, very minimum, you're not going to survive here. Same thing goes if you go to the suburbs. The amount of taxes we pay, and the amount of uh, hidden taxes. Because don't forget all the hidden taxes that we're paying, and the cost of living that we have here. It's ridiculous. It's off the charts. You leave from here, you go to a place like, now I'm not going to say like at Alabama or something like that, but let's say that you go to a place like Georgia, Atlanta, which is a big city. How come they're not as costly as we are? It just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And there's only select cities like this that have these kind of insane type of taxing. And I get it. The city it needs a lot of funding in order to sustain, but there's better ways to be able to do it, and a more non-biased way to be able to do it. You know, uh, Attacking the real estate sector is really not the way to do it. And by the way, I'm going to apologize to everybody that's in small businesses and everybody that's in restaurants as well, because I don't want to make it sound like woe is us as landlords and it's nobody else but us. These are the restaurant owners that are suffering. These are the small business owners that are suffering. These are the little retail stores that are suffering. Oh, and by the way, if any politicians listening, the solution is not to, you know, help these small businesses by hurting the landlords that have been holding them in place for all these past months. You know, that's again the same mentality, robbing the rich to steal the poor. And I'll tell you something, there's a lot of landlords out there that are not even nearly considered to be rich or anything like that. They got these buildings or these properties or these small little constructs that they're renting out just to sustain and make enough to be able to cover the cost. And in a lot of cases, they don't even cover the cost. They pay out of pocket because they're working another job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs in order to keep everything going. And they buy these buildings and are so heavily in debt with the idea that one day, just one day, they'll be able to get out of this and be able to pay it off and maybe have some leftover money once they retire to be able to survive. Because I'll tell you something, Social Security is not going to help anybody. I'm 44 years old right now. If I'm expecting Social Security to help me survive when I get to retirement age, I'm in trouble. I'm in big, big trouble. And I do suggest that anybody that's in the same category as me, in the age group, listen up, Gen Xers, because we're all Gen Xers in this age group. We're going to have our hands full. We're going to have our hands full. You know, we're a dying breed as far as trying to be entrepreneur, having the entrepreneurial spirit and trying to do something a little bit more, working and hustling, doing whatever we can. A lot of things are changing. A lot of people are going with their hands on and saying, "Give me, give me, give me," and not willing to do. And the proper solution is not take it away from somebody in order to sustain somebody else. It's just not the right way. You're going to take away every single incentive and every single reason for somebody to want to continue doing what you're doing. Because what's going to end up happening, you're going to have people get to a certain point, to a certain tax bracket, and say, why am I going to make more past this? They're going to take X amount. They're going to take 60% of it. What's the benefit? Yeah, you're going to say to me, yeah, you're working, you're making more though. Yes, you are making more, but how much more time, how many more hours are you putting into your work? How much more effort? How much less time are you putting in with your family in order to achieve that? Is it worth it once you get to that point where you're getting taxed at absurd rates? It's not. And this, this covers real estate tax. This covers capital gains taxes. This covers the 1099, the 1031 exchanges that they want to get rid from us. They're basically stacking up the deck against all real estate investors, landlords, property owners in a way where it just doesn't make any sense. And I've said this before, if the government feels that landlords and property owners are not necessary, then you know what? Take whatever I have, pay me fair market value, you take it back, and you be the landlord. And let's see how you like it. Let's see how it works out well and how you're going to self-sustain on that one. It doesn't work that way. New person in the chat, hi Rob. 10 million is the new 1 million. Well, yeah, that goes along the same lines of what I was talking about. It's, your millionaire is not what it used to be. You go years ago, not that many years ago, but you go years ago and you say, I'm a millionaire. That's a big deal, a really big deal. You know what happens now? You got people that say, big deal that you're a millionaire. So is everybody else. It's not as if it's, that uncommon. But ask that millionaire that's maybe worth $1 million, how much debt that millionaire has. You'll get a different story coming in from that end. I'll tell you that much. Driver's seat. Why is a small group of people, many of whom are on welfare, are able to put up high rises throughout New York City. Are able to put up high rises. I think you meant are are put in high rises through New York City. Correct me if I'm wrong. Once more, driver's seat. That is basically what we're looking at. We're looking at scenarios where um, people are hurting one sector in order to sustain another. In the spirit, let's call it the spirit of the public good. But what's happening right now, and I really believe this is illegal, and in a couple of states, it's already been declared that what they're doing is illegal. In Texas and Ohio, they already said that this is not constitutional. Why in places like New York are we continuing to are we continuing to be going through this whole process when it's clear there's something illegal going on? It's clear that something is really, really unbalanced about this. You take another, like I said, I've said this, I've given this example a million times. You take a restaurant owner and you tell them, listen, I need you to stay open. I need you to keep cooking. I need you to keep making meals. I want you to hand out all those meals to everybody that comes into your place. And if they can't pay you, you need to give them an IOU. And maybe someday, just maybe one day, you'll be able to get paid back from them. And maybe the government will decide to help you. Just as long as they fit all the requirements and you go through all the paperwork and logistics and lawyers that you need to in order to get paid. So continue working. Oh, and by the way, if you don't do that, we're going to close down your restaurant and we might take it away. Does that sound pretty good? Does it? I don't think so. I think it's ludicrous. I think it's insane. But maybe I'm in the majority. Maybe I'm minority. Maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe I'm so out of my mind, and maybe I'm so disconnected with reality, and I can't understand how the world works. What do you people think? What, do you think that I'm blowing this out of proportion? It's not a big deal. Are we going to the hospitals and telling the doctors, I don't care that you went through 15 years of medical school and you got $500,000, $1 million worth of debt in place. You're gonna keep working every day. You're gonna be on call whenever we need you, and maybe one day we'll pay you. Maybe. Here's an IOU. Oh, and by the way, while you're doing this whole process, you don't need to be um, relying on the hospital. You're going to have to go buy all your medical equipment on your own. Your stethoscopes, your gloves, your mask, all that stuff. You got to buy it on your own and not get paid. How's that sound? Doesn't sound too nice. Doesn't sound like a great scenario. Doesn't sound like a lot of doctors would want to continue working. And if they stop working, what happens? People get sick. People don't get the right type of treatment. But they have the option to work or not work. Housing providers don't have that option. Landlords don't have that option. Basically, what the government's telling them is, if you don't continue sustaining these properties, regardless if you're getting paid or not, we're going to destroy you. Right? I'm not mincing words anymore. It's just the way it is. They're basically, with a nicer way, in the spirit of COVID, in the spirit of the pandemic, in the spirit of the community, you're going to do what we tell you to do, whether you like it or not, or we're going to destroy you. We're going to destroy you financially. And don't forget the mental ramification, the psychological effects this has. Don't forget any of this stuff, because this is going to play a factor. People are already tormented right now as we speak. I guarantee you, within the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to have studies. They're going to have people um, evaluating what the effects of these things going on are right now in the future. And people are going to be, for lack of a better word, psychologically screwed up, like really screwed up. And by the way, if you're hearing noise in the background, that's because cleaning people are going around the vacuum and I can't control them. But what are you going to do? And I hope you can't hear it, but I could hear it. Um, and again, I'm not wearing my earphones as I usually should be wearing them, but I hate them, so I don't wear them. Let me get to some more chats. By the way, if you're just joining in right now, thanks for saying to hit the like button. I would appreciate that very much. To anybody that's listening, to hit that like button, that would be great. Um, it helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps the everything. It helps grow the channel. It helps get more people listening to my rants and raves, and hopefully one day I'll be able to get through to maybe somebody of power and somebody of political strength that will hear what I have to say and say, you know what? He is right. He is right. Maybe, just maybe one day. That's the dream, right? We have to have dreams. So that's my dream. Like I said again, if you're on here, this is a little different type of a stream. If you're listening, just now coming in and listening, um, we are doing something dramatically different from what we normally did. I have a Zoom link that is right in the top of the chat, and if you are interested of actually coming in live, talking, even being seen, you have the choice of hiding your face through, not showing the video or not. But if you wanted to participate and actually have your actually really real voice heard, um, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna be letting people in. We'll see how this works right now because we haven't had anybody join in or successfully join in, because I had a couple people come in and bounce out, and I'm not sure what the reason was. I don't know if they had bad connections. Uh, but if you are joining in right now, here's your opportunity to be heard. It's a different concept. If it works out, that would be great. Let me get to some more of these chats. Why is a small group of people, many of whom are on welfare? Oh, we have read that already. Sorry about that, driver's seat. Society is getting too unequal, which is also unsustainable. It's an interesting comment you put there, Rob, because there's always been scenarios of inequality. There's always been the super, super rich, the uber rich, the aristocracy, the people with the mega, mega money. And you've always had the people that were down at the bottom, that had zero, nada, nothing. You also had a middle class that tried their best to get to that top level, that maybe just came from the lower level. But either way, there was stages. The difference between today and the past is that in the past, and I'll keep it to real estate, because like I said, this is a real estate show, so we need to be staying on target. You had methods, you had ways, you had vehicles through that industry, through that sector, to be able to start from zero, like literally zero, and build up your wealth. How you could do that? You would work like a dog. I didn't say it was an easy. I didn't say it was an easy method, but you could work like a dog, sweat, bleed, do whatever you had to do. Work 7 days a week, 24 days, 24 hours a day. Save and scrimp, live off of spam. Do whatever you had to do to get that deposit. That you take that initial deposit and put it on a property, and then you start your real estate portfolio. And maybe from that property, it grows enough while you're still working like a dog, by the way, to pay it off. Maybe you'll build up enough equity in that property, or maybe you'll save up some more money again from working like a dog and eating spam and doing whatever you have to do to buy another property, and then so on and so on. You had that opportunity, but you don't necessarily have that opportunity anymore. They're taking away that opportunity. It's almost as if they're telling you, you have the opportunity to grow up until the point where we tell you you could grow. And that's not the American way. It's really not. It's really problematic to me. It really makes me upset. I know that there's other people that listen that are probably upset as well. And it's fiscally and financially irresponsible for the entire community, the entire population, of the way everybody's approaching this right now. You think I'm wrong? What happens when the landlord's money runs out? What happens when there's just no way to continue to sustain under these hardships? I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to have people that are going to lose their properties, guaranteed. You're going to have big conglomerate management companies that are going to come in and swoop in and take all these properties for pennies on the dollar. And by the way, all you tenants out there that are hollering about your landlords right now and making them look like the devil incarnate, have fun with those big corporations once they take over. Because I'll tell you something, a corporation that's running 2, 3,000, 10,000, 20,000 units is not going to give the same kind of personal attention that that person that has a 6 family that might even live in the same house in the building and have pride and ownership pride of taking care of that property, because that's all they have. And their entire livelihood depends on it. You're going to have a lot of fun with those big corporations and the big company. And this is not a knock against the corporations and the big conglomerates and the management companies. Not at all. Because they're doing what they need to do, and they're doing everything. Well, hopefully they're doing everything according to what all the law is, and being civil and that kind of thing. But they're not going to bend. They're not going to say, Mr. or Mrs. Tenant, you need an extra day. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Just try to be on time next week. They're not going to say that. You know what they're going to say? Penalty. Oh, you don't want to pay me 5 days in a row now? More penalties. You don't want to keep paying? No problem. Now you're going to get an eviction letter. You're going to get your notice. There's not going to be any kind of human element. Now you're going to be dealing with a corporation. There's no individual owner. There's only shareholders. And there's a different type of element, and there's a different type of dynamic when you get involved in that kind of scenario. But you'll see. Or let's say, even better for you, let's say this doesn't happen. Let's say the big companies, the big corporations don't take over these properties. You know what's going to happen then? I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. You are going to have the government take over the housing. You go into any major government housing facility right now that's, I want to say, more than 5 years old. Because the new ones are still new, they're still clean, everything is still operational, whatever the case. I'm not going to pick on the new ones. You go to anyone that's over 5 years old, and you see the living environment that the people are in, it's not going to be so nice. I've walked through plenty of them myself. I've seen them inside and out. Some of them are scary. Some of them have run ragged with disrepair. You know, the number one uh, worst landlord in New York City is actually NYCHA. Hard to believe, right? They've obtained the most amount of violations and penalties year over year, uncontested. It's not even close. Not even close. We're talking about miles away from the private owners. Even the worst, the most notorious private landlord, they're miles away as far as the penalty count. Year over year. Let's see what happens in 2021. Let's see how good of a record they have then. Promise you, they're not going to be in the best of shape because they don't have money to fund these expenses. They don't. Once again, you think I'm wrong? Comment, please. Let me know. Let me get more to the chat. I don't want to neglect anybody and miss anything. Petros, a teacher was making $60K starting salary 15 years ago and makes $100K today, 15 years later. $40K raise in 15 years. Meanwhile, a slice of pizza was $1.25 15 years ago and $3.25 today. That's a great analogy. That is great analogy of how to say how the cost of living has gone up. Now, your novice is going to turn around, well, that's because the rents have gone through the roof. Well, the rents wouldn't go through the roof if the taxes didn't go through the roof, if the expenses, the maintenance didn't go through the roof. The harsh penalties, the eviction situation, when you have to go through law through lawyers and you have to go through the whole legal process just to do a standard eviction process, and it could take you 2 years to get that person out, who's going to pay that difference? They pass it along to the tenant. Simple as that. Rob H., to be fair, real estate investors have been making a lot of money from their passive investment for the past 2 years. Yes, that is fair. Rob, I'm not going to disagree with you. There's a lot of people that have been making a lot of money from their investments. There's also been a lot of people that have been making a lot of money from their stock investments as well. But you're not putting a moratorium on those stock investors. You're not penalizing them and telling them they can't continue to collect dividends if they have dividend stocks or any kind of proceeds. You're not telling them that. Why are you telling that to the housing providers? It's just an observation, and you are right. There have been people that have hit home runs since 2008, 2010, 2011. They've been doing great. It's only because everything kept accelerating, the rents kept accelerating, but the expenses also kept accelerating. And what are you going to do with that person that bought 2 years ago? That didn't even get a chance. Didn't even get a chance to get their feet wet and to start collecting some rents, to start paying off that building, and they went through a moratorium. And let's say 90% of their building stopped paying them rent. What happens to them? Is that fair? See, I have no problem of seeing people fail or default, if it's because of bad investment reasons, or if they made poor decisions, that's on them. That's their problem. It really is. But when it's manipulated and it's artificially done through politics, that's when I have a big problem with that. Sorry. Maybe I'm harsh. Maybe maybe I'm being a little bit biased. Or maybe I'm just being realistic. Come on. Let's take a real look at what's going on. By the way, I've been seeing people come in and come out of the chat. We've been seeing a lot of people, a lot of activity happening. Thank you so much for everybody that's commenting. Again, if you haven't seen it yet, I do have the Zoom link in case you want to join in on this live stream and be able to participate a little bit differently than what you're used to. I'm going to put down the link again in the chat just in case people missed it, because it's all the way back in the beginning. So I put it back in there, and I'm going to just keep that chat room open. But let me get to some more chat, to more comments. Let's see where we're at. Rob, I hope I don't sound too harsh on the way I answered your comment, but that's the truth. Again, the people that made bad investment decisions, the people that made poor mistakes, and it's really on their decisions of why they are where they're at. That's on them. That's really their problem. Same way, if you buy a bad stock, you have nobody to blame but yourself. But when it's artificially manipulated, it's not the same. It's a real problem. Driver's seat. They're trying to make New York the model for the socialist agenda. Again, I'm going to stay away. I keep saying this. I'm going to stay away from politics. Am I staying away from politics, or am I just making this a political show? I don't know. You guys would be the judge of that. But yeah, I mean, all these actions that are being taken place right now, the way we are being dealt with, has socialistic tendencies. It really does. And a lot of people think a socialist system is good. Go to Canada, see if it's good. And you know what? I had a live stream last Thursday with another person from Canada, Maria Recruit, who is highly involved with housing scenarios up there, involved with major groups, major alliances up there. And they're facing very similar things that we are right now. And I'll tell you something. I heard a couple of things from her. You go listen to her stream, and I could put the link down below after the cast is over, so you could check it out. I was guest there. I'm going to be on Thursday as well with her. We might be doing this periodically, Thursdays, if not consistently every week, quite often. But it was really interesting to see a comparison of how things are in the U.S. and Canada and the comparison. And you're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked. The grass is always greener. Everybody thinks it's always better. Hey, take this from me. My original roots are from Greece. My parents came from Greece. As far as the weather, as far as the environment, as well as the culture, the beauty, bar none. You go to Greece, living on the Mediterranean, it's a dream. But the politics right there got way overboard. You want to talk about socialist? That's a true socialist type of country. It really is. And it's not doing so well. Anybody that has seen anything in the news over the past couple decades, not year, couple decades, they're going down, down, down financially. And basically the country is in a tailspin, and who knows if it'll recover financially. It might be a scenario where it has to go bankrupt. Is that where we want this country to go? I don't know. Like I said, it's grass is always greener. I want to see us succeed. And if the formula to succeed is what's being implemented right now, I'm all for it. But it's not. It's been proven wrong time and time again. There's reasons why countries with socialistic type of tendencies and approaches tend to collapse. Just a fact. It's not my opinion. Go back in history. Read up your history. Take every country that's been involved in that kind of situation. It's not sustainable. Thank you again, Driver C, for saying hit the like button. Rob, Nick, how much do you think is a lot these days? Salaries haven't increased that much, but assets have grown so much. That's a hard question to answer, Rob, and I'll tell you why. Because the amount of assets that people have gone, the appreciation and the equity that has built up, I don't know if it's real. You have people that bought Bitcoin years ago for pennies on the dollar, and now it's worth, I don't know, 40, 50, $60,000, whatever the given day it is, how much it's worth. Out of nowhere, it just appeared. Real estate had appreciated dramatically year over year. The stock market has appreciated dramatically. These are unsustainable type of equity bursts. So you have overnight millionaires, literally overnight millionaires, that are they really millionaires? Can they really cash out tomorrow and use whatever they have? Or is it all just digital and up in the cloud? And maybe one day it'll all disappear. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, we probably have more millionaires today in this country than what we probably had in the past 50 years combined. It's crazy that I'm saying that. But think about it. It's a really different time. And the value of money is being depreciated in a different way. And the only real way to measure what true real worth is and assets are through physical assets that appreciate and are tangible. And real estate was always one of them. And that's why I feel that it's under attack consistently, because it's one of the last true assets that somebody could have. Because at the end of the day, if it was a perfect world, if people were allowed to function normally the way they're supposed to, the economy is good, you have that asset, it's generating revenue, there's cash flow coming out of it. The economy is bad, people still need to live somewhere, there's still cash flow coming from that property, and it's still tangible. You could go touch those bricks, you could touch that, cement, the wood, whatever the construct is made out of, the ground, there's dirt on the ground, whatever the case is, it's tangible, it's real. And this last attack feels like they want that that reality, that true asset to disappear. And I hope that's not the case. SIWY made. I have 2 tenants and a 2-family. By the way, I think that's the first time I've seen you on the chat. Thank you for joining us. I have 2 tenants in a 2-family house that haven't paid any rent since September 2019. I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. And unfortunately, Your story is similar to a lot of people. I got a couple of tenants like that myself, and I know so many numerous other people in the same kind of boat as you are. It's heartbreaking that this is all done. It's one thing if we had a national and natural catastrophe, and everything was wiped away, and we're all trying to rebuild together and that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, yes, we are getting past a pandemic right now. Okay, this was a global emergency, a national emergency. It was an emergency. It was not your normal situation. But what was done was one group was attacked, specifically targeted, and that's the housing providers. Those are landlords. They were specifically attacked in a way and isolated and targeted in a way that nobody else did. Think I'm wrong? Prove me, make a comment. Join the Zoom. Let me know. Rob H. Everyone was on the government dole in Greece. Yeah, well, that's it. Everybody was supported through it. And what happened now? Everybody's getting a rude awakening. They are selling everything to China in order to make ends meet. It looks like you have a good understanding of what's happening over there as well. And it's not just China. They're selling to Russia. They're selling to Israel. They're selling to Germany. They're selling out everything. At the end of the day, they're going to end up living on lease. They don't even own their harbors. They don't own their airports. All the major airports are, foreign run. It's a sad situation. Driver's seat. England was a miserable socialist city under Margaret Thatcher, borrowed from the United States system. Today, London, once again, is a vibrant city. Hit the thumbs up button. Thank you. And I'm going to give you a thumbs up for the great comments that you've been giving us tonight, as well as always, every night. Yeah. There's no argument on that. You're absolutely right on target. I don't know where England is going to be in 5 years from now, but they are trying to reverse what they've been dealing with for years. It's rough. It really is. I don't know what else to say about it. I really don't. It's an awful scenario. And I'm hoping that sooner or later we're going to find a resolution. I really do. Before I get sidetracked, I'm just going to give everybody a reminder that I will be doing another live stream with Maria on her channel on Thursday. She's been so pleasant and welcoming to have me on her show as well. And that's like a great other outlet to be able to talk. It's a really good way to be able to compare international policies, so to speak, especially when you're talking about here in North America. I'd love to see how it is in Mexico as well. So if there's anybody out there that's really involved in housing in Mexico, I'd love to hear the perspective and the policies and how they work over there, because I've never really researched it over there, and I'd love to find out because we are all North America, and it'd be great to see another comparison because we're obviously doing Canada and U.S. Why not have Mexico included? It'd be great. Rob H, I'm going to paste once the link completely once this stream completely goes through, I'm going to put Maria's links on there as well, and you'll be able to see them in the comment board. Let me see if I could actually do that for you now. If I can, that'd be great. um, if not, bear with me, and I'll try to have them um, post it as soon as the stream ends up buffering. Let's see what I can come up with. Just give me a second, and we'll see if that could I could help that situation out. Maria recruit. But I think actually that'd be a great idea. What does everybody else think? Like, do you have any idea of how it works in um, over in Mexico? Because I'm really curious. Because I bet you they're not as lax and they're not as nice about these laws as they are here and in Canada. I think it's a lot more even kill. It might actually be backwards, and it might actually be a lot worse over there. I don't know. I really don't know. It's you know I'd love to find out. Let's just say that, because there's got to be some kind of comparison, and that includes other countries as well. I think we should all like be able to do a comparison and try to figure out maybe what's working with anybody with other people and what's not working. Oh, glad you found it, Rob. Sorry, I was just being a little distracted. I'm gonna try to have those links already in the future. The whole thing with Maria is new, so I didn't have it in my clipboard, but I'm gonna have that going forward. But I'm glad you found it. Um, take a look at what's happening in New Zealand. Rob, why don't you let us know what's happening with them? They have just passed a bunch of housing reform laws. How harsh were those housing reform laws? Are they as bad as what we just faced here in New York in June 2019? Because we got a pretty raw deal, in 2019. That was pretty severe. I hope that New Zealand's not facing the same kind of situation. See, I'm not a sadist. I don't want other people to be miserable just because we're miserable. I'd like to know that other people have better situations than us. I like the fact that it's not only New York is isolated amongst a handful of other states that are facing these same kind of severe laws, because there is a open horizon. There is a end of the rainbow in some other states where it's a lot more civil and it's a lot more even keel. Because of the skyrocketing housing market over there, they are eliminating things like mortgage interest deduction. How do they do that? They are making it more difficult for investors. So the first time home buyer has a better chance, supposedly. That's insane. So they're eliminating mortgage interest deduction, and are they doing that to everybody or new sales right now? So if somebody just bought 2 years ago and they're depending on that deduction in order to be able to survive, does that basically tell them, too bad? Is that your problem? Is that the approach that they're taking? I hope not. I think that's horrible. Oh my God. You see what I'm saying? The grass is not always greener on the other side. I don't know how the rest of the housing laws are in New York, but in New Zealand, but that's a bad scenario. And you know what? They might do the same thing to us. I mean, they do. I don't know if they'll do that here because they've already compounded so much, and right now we can't breathe. Basically, by them taking away our mortgage deduction interest, would be just, it's like looking at a person that's drowning, just literally drowning, and then putting your foot right on top of their head and stepping on them, so they can't even get a gulp of air, because that's basically what they're doing. They are making it too difficult for investors, so the first time home buyer has a better chance, supposedly, for everyone, but it's going to be phased over time. I guess small victories. I don't know what the people are doing, how they're fighting. I don't know what the gap is in home ownership in New Zealand. I'd love to hear some input on that, and see how it works. I'm not even sure what type of government system New Zealand has. Is it a capitalist system? Is it socialist system? I know it's not communist, but um, I'm not sure where it tends to lay in the big global aspect. But the, definitely that stuff has socialistic tendencies to it. You know, these are like whatever happened to the Boston Tea Party. Things like that happened in our history as a nation, where people revolted and they threw all the tea overboard into the river because they were just sick of being overtaxed. What happened back then? Why? What was the point of them doing that if we're going to be facing the same kind of stuff that they're facing right now? We're facing the same stuff that a lot of people from the revolutionary times faced from England and revolted against. That's what we're facing. But you know what would happen today if you throw a ton of tea into the river? You get arrested and they'll lock you up for the rest of your life for polluting. You won't be put as a hero. You'd be called as an eco-terrorist. It's the way the world is changing these days. How do you fight it? How do you do something like right now? Everybody is doing what they can, getting our voices heard, and more groups are forming and unifying and merging and becoming bigger and bigger, and our voices will eventually be heard in a way where it needs to, but it's not happening fast enough. And one of the reasons why is because housing providers, typically landlords in general, are so used to be self-reliant and not needing help. And there's a little bit of a egotistical thing or a pride thing, not an egotistical thing, but pride thing, that I built what I built on my own with my own two hands and on my own 2 feet. I shouldn't have to rely on others. But in this case, you can't fight it by yourself. If you're thinking that's the way, you can't. As much as I hate to say that, because I have the same mentality too. Whatever I built on my back with my family, my wife. Whatever we did, we built on our backs. But in these cases, we can't fight alone. We need to unify with others. We really do. It's sad, but true. Unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. They are, Rob, they are making it more difficult for investors so that the first time home buyer has a better chance, supposedly. Sorry, I read that already. Um, it's parliamentary democracy like Canada. I got it. Got it. Okay. So now I'm in line. I kind of get an idea of how it works. That's supposedly how it was supposed to be in Greece, but it definitely took a real different direction. I'll tell you that much. Market economy. There are things that are being changed in New Zealand, removing tax deductibility, interest loans for residential property investment, uh, investment extending the extending the bright line test, the period during the property sale attracts a capital gain tax liability from 5 to 10 years, introducing changes of use rule that effectively makes family homes liable to CGT. Wow. If sold within 10 years and rented out for more than a year, the government has shamed citizens into thinking that paying taxes is honorable. Wow. 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 Look at that. You're suffering just as much. They're suffering just as much as we are. Wow. That's all I could say. I'm stunned. Wow. And by the way, that tax shaming thing has always been effective in any government. You can take it in any from any system you go. And the truth be said, let's be reasonable and understanding. We have to pay a certain amount of taxes in order to sustain our infrastructure, in order to sustain the necessities we have as a community, as an environment. We need some of the stuff. Big bridges don't build themselves. They need money to be built. Airports, docks, all these kind of different places. They need the streets that we drive on, the highways, our military, all these things need to be sustained. Our grid, our electrical grids, all this stuff, it needs to be sustained in one way or the other. So let's all be realistic. We have to pay some taxes. But you know what else could be done? All the waste, all the expenses, all the special interest, all the crap that's padded on, all the fat that's padded on our tax bills that are for what? For what? I think if somebody went in neutrally and dissected the budget and actually went and looked at exactly where every single penny, last penny went to, we'd all be in the point of revolution, because we would be so enraged by how much money they're wasting and giving away and putting into the pockets of people that are paying them off in one way or the other. It's sad. It's disgusting. And meanwhile, they're penalizing their citizens. They are penalizing that like like never before. Jay Simply, thanks for joining us. I got a court date for non-payment case on HRA person with on HRA person will also attend. Does anyone know what I should expect? Okay. I'm going to say this. I don't want to scare you, but expect the worst. If you're still listening right now, Jay Simply, when is your court date? You're going to go in there and you're going to be as prepared as humanly possible. I hope you're using an attorney to help guide you. And by the way, the attorneys don't have the answers, by the way. All of them don't have the answers, by the way, because they're learning along the way as well. Believe me, I've talked to plenty of attorneys, and they're in a lot of cases, and this is not a knock against them. They're at a loss, same way we're at a loss, because everything is changing on a not even a daily. Like it's almost like every second something's changing with the way things are applied. So they're adapting just as quickly as they can, and the same way we're trying to adapt. May. Okay. For a non-payment case. Well, I'm going to tell you this much. I don't believe, I hope I'm wrong, I don't believe you're going to get any kind of judgment or any kind of date that the person has to move out. I don't know if it's the first time you're going to court with them or not, but if it is the first time, more than likely they could drag it out. They might not even show up, for all you know. They might actually ask for a extension. Come up with an excuse that they can't make it that day. They need another day. They got the right to do that if they have a legitimate reason, or a fictional legitimate reason, or you want to call it whatever you want. But you might have that scenario going on. But you're definitely not going to see any kind of evictions happening past June. May 1st, at least it's May 1st. May 1st could be bring you luck. I hope there is some luck. Maybe the everything will shine on you that day, and you'll get a judge that's a human being. And honestly, even the judges have their hand tied in this case. And believe me, I'm not a friend to any judge in New York City, because they're so biased when it comes to these laws. They're so trained to take the tenant side, but we'll see what happens. Um, I don't know if you have an attorney. You haven't answered that, but Jay, simply, if you do have an attorney, make sure that you're up to date with all the new changes that just happened. Um, I hope you have really strong records as far as the non-payment. And the other question I didn't ask you, and I think it's really important that if you're still listening to be able to answer on the chat, is uh, were they or were they not out of work for COVID reasons, like real COVID reasons? Or they weren't. They weren't out of. So they were working the whole time. How long have you been trying to get into court? Rob H, you're definitely right. There will be another extension. I'm expecting to see this go into September again. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I wish I had better news, and I wish this was a happy video. I wish this was saying it's over. It's absolutely over. But it's not one of those videos. I just have to be realistic. I have to give everybody what's going the scenario of what's really happening, the real feel. Collecting unemployment. So what if your tenant was collecting unemployment? What is their, and they haven't paid you anything up until this point? What is their justification for not paying a dime? If they were collecting something on unemployment, they could have given you $50 here, $100 there, $200 here. They could have. What is their reason for that? I'd love to hear what they have to say when that's brought up in court. I really would love to hear that, and I hope your attorney prepares a case strong enough to point that out, that they have been collecting and they just refuse to pay anything or come to any kind of payment plan with you. I hope you offer that. Pandemic is going to end here soon. Once we no longer have to wear masks, it's hard for them to argue for another extension. Yes, it is hard for them to argue for another extension, but if they want to, they will. Because it's been hard for them to keep asking for more extensions. It doesn't matter that people are wearing masks, and it doesn't matter that we have the pandemic. If somebody is, I'll give you a scenario. You've heard all the stories. You've heard people attacking their landlords, maliciously attacking their landlords. They got restraining orders. They live in the same building, same house, and they can't get rid of them. Where's the justification in that? It makes no sense. Okay, nothing, and they haven't known. I will let you know. I would love to hear update G simply. I would love to hear an update, and I hope that you have great results with that. I did ask him to pay. I did ask him to play anything, just help with the housing expenses, and I'm sure they refused to do so. I'm sure they refused to do so. I mean, it's ridiculous. It was really ridiculous. I really hope that you have good results. If there's anything I could do to help you, I will. Well, that's normal. They don't even reply. That's normal. Everybody seems to just shut off because they don't want to reply. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Looks like my phone's already ringing. But I think I'm going to end this session now, unless everybody has any more comments to put in there. If you have any questions, now is your time to let me know. Otherwise, I will definitely be back again on Thursday with Maria Recruit on that live stream. Obviously, we'll be back next Monday on the real estate plate that way we normally will. Before I sign off, I'm just going to ask everybody that hasn't done so already, just click that like button, subscribe if you haven't to the channel. It definitely helps us. Um, Reminding everybody that we're still doing that fundraiser for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and any donation truly helps. Again, any super chats or any kind of donations that are given through the channel through the super chat, all proceeds will be given directly to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Any kind of monetary advertising that we get from these videos up until June 10th, I'm going to be donating directly as well. And I really hope that we'll be able to get some really good stuff done. Thank you for uh, your comments, Rob. Thank you, Jay Simply. Thank you. Um, who was the other person? I don't want to miss anybody. Obviously, driver's seat. We can't forget about you. Thank you, Petros, and thank you, SIWY Siwi Made. Thank you, everybody. Um, hope I was helpful. Hope you have a great week. I hope you have a successful week in real estate, and I'll be back with you again next Monday, just like every Monday, 6 to 7 on the real estate plate. And for all my fellow Greeks and Orthodox people out there, have a happy Easter this Sunday.